I'm Tashan Tyson in with the overview and media news package for today, Thursday, 21st February 2019. In our lead stories, nationally, will there be constituency boundary changes before the next general elections here in St. Kitts and Nevis? And loss of correspondent banking relations, a threat to banks in St. Kitts and Nevis and the ECCU. Regionally, Venezuela's president shuts border with Brazil amid aid standoff. Internationally, action needed against child abuse at church, says Pope Francis. And in sports, 18-year-old basketball player injured as Nike shoe falls apart after 33 seconds. We'll have the details of these and other stories after this message.
Another look.
Different from how you've seen it before.
Another look.
Takes an in-depth look into business, politics, science, technology, religion, and more.
Another look.
Featuring documentaries from the BBC, regional features, and local ones too.
Another look.
Every Monday at 3 p.m. on the Eastern Caribbean's powerhouse, Vaughan.
Welcome back. Another national news in detail. What is the status of constituency boundaries here in St. Kitts and Nevis? This question was asked at a town hall meeting of the Team Unity Administration on Monday, 18 February 2019. In January 2015, the Dr. Denzil Douglas-led administration brought a report to the Parliament that would result in changes to the constituency boundaries in St. Kitts and Nevis. The opposition at the time filed an injunction in the court to stop the changes, but the courts denied the injunction. The opposition then took the matter to the Privy Council and had the injunction placed on the new boundaries. In February 2015, just days before the last general election, the Privy Council overturned both judgments, meaning elections were held on the old boundaries. Since then, the conclusion to the case has not been heard and has still not been established. Attorney General the Honorable Vincent Byron Jr. provided this response.
That boundaries report is still in the court, and there is an order that has suspended that report. It is not in play, and it waits the further order of the court to be able to determine where we are. But we would expect that the current boundary commission that is in place would do its work, and we wait to hear what that outcome will be.
Attorney General the Honorable Vincent Byron Jr. St. Kitts and Nevis and the other member states of the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union, ECCU, continue to face the threat of the loss of correspondent banking relations. Governor of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, Mr. Timothy Antoine, says while some banks have lost correspondent relations, work is ongoing to prevent further losses.
We have been able to work with the correspondent banks. The banks themselves have reached out. The ECCB has reached out. Our government's heads have been engaging through advocacy at various levels with the IMF and others, and we have seen some stabilization in that system. We do continue to make the point, however, that as part of a defense mechanism to secure and protect our correspondent banks, it is absolutely important that our banks look for further collaboration and consolidation.
A correspondent bank is a bank that provides services on behalf of another, equal or unequal financial institution. It can facilitate wire transfers, conduct business transactions, accept deposits, and gather documents on behalf of another financial institution. In police news, a domestic dispute in which a woman was wounded several times with a knife is currently being investigated by the police. The incident occurred sometime after 4 p.m. on Wednesday, February 20th at Cardin Avenue, St. Kitts. According to a release from the police, Veronica Thomas of Cardin Avenue was stabbed and wounded several times with a knife about the body by her boyfriend. She was transported to the JNF hospital, where she was treated for her injuries and discharged. One person is in police custody assisting with investigations into the matter. This is the second domestic dispute to occur in 3 days. On February Monday 18th, and at around 1:30 a.m., police responded to a domestic violence report at Upper Malone Avenue in Barstair, St. Kitts, and according to police, the matter involved Leroy and Unella Henry, husband and wife, respectively. Based on reports, the husband was stabbing his wife, Unella, when officers arrived at the scene. Leroy was ordered to stop stabbing his wife in the throat, but instead began slitting his own throat, reports say. Additional information reaching the VON Newsline revealed that a policeman who ordered Leroy to stop stabbing his wife fired a shot at him. He fell to the ground and was declared dead in the home. The wife was rushed to the hospital for emergency treatment. St. Kitts and Nevis will host the 30th intersessional meeting of CARICOM heads next week. The February 26th and 27th meeting will take place at the St. Kitts Marriott Resort and Royal Beach Casino. In addition to the main meetings, several events will occur during the margins of the intersessional gathering. Additionally, there's the 10th special meeting of the Community Council of Ministers on the 25th February and the OECS Commissioners meeting on the 28th February. The Planning Committee is headed by Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Kate Bass. Prime Minister Dr. The Honorable Timothy Harris, who is also chairman of the Conference of Heads of Government of CARICOM, speaking in the National Assembly on Wednesday, disclosed that to date, over 150 delegates have registered for the two-day meeting. 15 member states and associate member states will be represented, while there will be representatives of 8 regional organizations. The regional leaders will also take a keen interest in the situation in Guyana, where the David Granger-led coalition has appealed a High Court ruling that the December 21, 2018 motion of no confidence was valid and that fresh regional and general elections should take place within 90 days of the successful tabling of the motion. In related news, the President of Estonia, Kersti Kaljulaid, will be the special guest at the 2-day Caribbean Community CARICOM Intersessional Summit to be held here in St. Kitts and Nevis later this month. Prime Minister Dr. The Honorable Timothy Harris, who is also the CARICOM chairman, told Parliament that apart from Kaljulaid, many diplomatic representatives have taken the opportunity to meet with regional leaders and that Australia's High Commissioner John Pilbeam and his New Zealand counterpart Antoine Ojala have already confirmed their arrival for the February 26th to 27th meeting. He said that prior to the meeting, the leaders of the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, OECS, will meet with the Secretary General of the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, UNCTAD, Dr. Mekisa Kitui, on February 25th. The UN official will also meet with CARICOM leaders. Assistant Commissioner of Police, ACP, with responsibility for crime, Andre Mitchell, stated firmly that the police must show the criminals that law enforcement will win. ACP Mitchell was quoted as saying, "We, as the principal law enforcement entity, must respond in partnership with other agencies like the St. Kitts Nevis Defence Force and the Customs Department. We must respond, and respond we shall." Additionally, he spoke of the importance of the public's involvement, adding that everyone needed to join the fight against wrongdoing. The ACP for the Crime Directorate said that these were very extraordinary times which required the police to implement extraordinary measures to address what was happening on the ground. The 6th Explorers Club was commissioned here in St. Kitts and Nevis on Sunday, 17th February. The Explorers groups were first launched in 2017 as part of the Community Policing Initiative involving children from ages 4 to 17 years old, with an aim to provide a safe haven for children in the communities in which they are formed. The Lodge Explorers Club was launched at the Violet Petty Primary School, adding 72 children to the hundreds of community explorers in St. Kitts and Nevis. At the launch, a website and Facebook page for the group were also unveiled. The Explorers Groups are part of the Ministry of National Security's Social Intervention Program, which is part of its broader crime prevention strategy geared towards strengthening character and promoting positive behavior in young people. The Lodge Group joins the Keon, Mulfield, Shadwell, St. Paul's and St. Peter's Explorers Clubs. And finally, the completion of Phase 1 of the rehabilitation of the Islands Made Road in St. Kitts has made the commuting experience for persons traveling between Connery and Keys, as well as camps and challengers, a safer commute. During a presentation in the National Assembly on a Wednesday, February 20th, Minister of Public Infrastructure, the Honorable Ian Patches Liburd, highlighted the work done by the local contractors. Under Phase 1, the resurfacing of the aforementioned stretch of road was done by Surrey Paving and Aggregate Company Limited and local contractors who undertook various work that resulted in the construction of a proper drainage system on the eastern side of St. Kitts in the vicinity of Contact, the widening of the main road, as well as the building of drains. An important feature of the resurfacing project saw the installation of cat eyes reflectors, which mark the middle and edges of the road. Head of the Traffic Department of the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force, Inspector Carl Keynes, said that the reflectors have greatly enhanced road safety, particularly at night. That's the national news segment. You can visit our website at www.vonradio.com or check us out on Facebook at Von Radio and our Von Radio YouTube channel. News from across the region is next.
We know you have your personal as well as your business needs, and we're here to help. Our knowledgeable staff will work with you to help you achieve the financial success that you or your company needs in a competitive market. We offer solutions that make your banking experience easier, like our savings and checking accounts. Be sure to ask about our youth savers accounts and our Bank of Nevis Gold Club. We offer a wide range of personal loans, including mortgage, land, student, auto, and consumer loans. Have access to your funds instantly with our Online internet banking and our debit and credit cards. We make international banking and investing easy. How's your business? Give it the leverage it really needs by letting the Bank of Nevis assist you with all the necessary funding for all your business expenses. It's that easy. What are you waiting for? The Bank of Nevis Limited, improving the quality of life.
Like us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/The Bank of Nevis.
Welcome back. Another regional news in detail. President Nicolas Maduro said Venezuela would shut its border with Brazil until further notice amid a tense standoff with U.S.-backed opposition leader Juan Guaido over allowing in humanitarian aid. Maduro said he was also considering a total closure of the border with Colombia, where he has already ordered the military to barricade a major border bridge to prevent aid from entering the country from Cucuta, Colombia, where supplies are being stockpiled, most of it from the United States. In a televised address, Maduro called the aid a provocation and child's game, suggesting the aid is a precursor for U.S. military intervention in the oil-rich but economically crippled Latin American country. While surrounded by members of the military, he said, the U.S. aimed to generate a huge national mess, but they didn't succeed. The country wants peace. The border with Brazil, which along with Colombia, is one of the main potential avenues for aid delivery, would be completely and absolutely closed from 8 p.m. until further notice, Maduro said. Out of St. Lucia. Quick response from the Marine Police Unit may have saved 12 lives from a sinking ship. St. Lucia NewsOnline.com says the ship was traveling to St. Lucia from Martinique when it began going under, some 3 miles north of Pigeon Point on Wednesday. When the Marine unit was alerted, the reaction was swift. Commander of the Marine Police Unit, Superintendent Finlay Lyons, said upon arrival, 12 passengers were taken from the sinking vessel and taken to the Rodney Bay Marina. With the passengers safe, the unit turned its attention to saving the stranded vessel. It was reported that the vessel has been taken to the Rodney Marina, where she presently sits on dry dock. Seabourn Airlines has returned to the Dominican Republic with a non-stop service between San Juan's Luis Muñoz Marin International Airport, SJU, and Dominican Republic's Ceibo International Airport. The new flights operate 3 days per week on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and will increase the daily service on May 23, 2019. In addition, the new service offers opportunities to experience nearby favorite vacation destinations, including the beaches of Puerto Plata, the birthplace of tourism in the Dominican Republic. Out of the U.S. Virgin Islands. Virgin Islands Police Department, VIPD, is partnering with the Bureau of Motor Vehicles, BMV, to begin stronger enforcement of vehicles that are not registered but are being used, along with deliverers in the territory who are not licensed. That's according to a BMV release issued on Tuesday, which failed to elaborate on the initiative. To be successful with the plan, the VIPD would have to initiate increased traffic stops of vehicles noticed to be unregistered. According to the Sixth Consortium, the release states that BMV Director nominee Barbara McIntosh reminded Virgin Islanders that vehicles must be registered with the Bureau to be legal on the territory's roads. Out of the Cayman Islands. A worker at a store on Godfrey Nixon Way thwarted an attempted robbery by a masked man on a Monday night. Police responded to a report made shortly after 8:30 p.m. that a masked man had entered the store and pointed an object covered with a cloth at a worker and demanded cash. The Cayman Compass says a struggle ensued, during which the masked man was struck with a stick by the worker. The masked man then fled the scene on foot. Police said nothing was taken during the incident and no injuries occurred. And finally, Belize has outperformed the Cayman Islands in terms of tourism sector growth, according to a breakingBelizeNews.com. The news outlet reported today that the Cayman Islands saw double-digit growth at the end of 2018, as the tourism sector in many Caribbean territories are still trying to recover from Hurricanes Irma and Maria. According to the Belize Tourism Board, Belize's tourism sector growth for overnight and cruise passenger arrivals were up by 14.6% and 19.1% respectively. The Caribbean Tourism Organization has predicted that tourism arrivals will increase in the region this year. The BTB noted earlier this year that it is working with the various industry stakeholders as well as partners abroad to push Belize as a destination in markets such as Canada and Mexico, which would complement the already high arrivals from the United States. That's it for regional stories. Stay with us for news from around the world. Welcome back, and now the international news in detail. Pope Francis has said the world expects concrete measures to tackle child sexual abuse by priests and not only simple and obvious condemnations. At a summit to discuss the scandals that have rocked the Roman Catholic Church, he said the cry of the little ones seeking justice had to be heard. Details of sexual abuse have emerged across the world, and the Church has been accused of covering up crimes. Survivors say new safeguarding protocols are needed to protect minors. The unprecedented four-day summit at the Vatican is being attended by the heads of all national bishops' conferences from more than 130 countries. The BBC's James Reynolds gives us more.
This morning, cardinals and bishops arrived quietly. In the opening session, Pope Francis asked the group to stop and reflect. We need to listen to the cry of the little ones who demand justice, he said. One of his cardinals, Luis Antonio Tagle from the Philippines, then broke down as he described abuse as a misuse of power. Wounds have been inflicted by us, the bishops, on the victims, he told fellow clerics.
A fast-moving fire swept through a historic district of Bangladesh's capital, Dhaka, killing at least 78 people, officials say. The blaze broke out at night in a residential building that had flammable materials stored on the ground floor. Members of a bridal party are thought to be among the victims. It is not clear yet what started the fire. Here is the BBC's Akbar Hussain.
This part of the town is very cramped. Many people are living here. The roads are narrow. Even the firefighters, they were struggling to reach here to tame down the fire. The firefighter says that this is a chemical warehouse, and with this chemical is being used for making perfumes. And this is a flammable material. That's why fires are moving so quickly.
U.S. actor Jussie Smollett staged a fake attack on himself because he was dissatisfied with his salary, Chicago police say. Police Superintendent Eddie Johnson said in a news conference that he took advantage of the pain and anger of racism to promote his career. Mr. Smollett is charged with filing a false police report after he said he was the victim of a homophobic attack. Police say he also had sent a racist letter to himself at a Fox studio. The 36-year-old star of the TV series Empire is suspected of paying two brothers to stage the attack. They are both cooperating with the investigation, police say. On Wednesday, his lawyers said they would mount an aggressive defense. In a news conference today, Superintendent Eddie Johnson accused the actor of committing a crime to further his own profile.
First, Smollett attempted to gain attention by sending a false letter that relied on racial, homophobic, and political language. When that didn't work, Smollett paid $3,500 to stage this attack and drag Chicago's reputation through the mud in the process. And why? This stunt was orchestrated by Smollett because he was dissatisfied with his salary. So he concocted a story about being attacked. Now, our city has problems. We know that. We have problems that have affected people from all walks of life, and we know that. But to put the national spotlight on Chicago for something that is both egregious and untrue is simply shameful.
And finally, a U.S. Coast Guard officer has been arrested on suspicion of planning a terror attack, court documents show. Police found a cache of weapons and ammunition at the Maryland home of Christopher Paul Hassan. The self-proclaimed white nationalist had drawn up a list of targets including prominent Democratic politicians. He is said to have drawn inspiration from the Norwegian mass murderer Anders Breivik. That brings us to the end of our news segments. The latest in sports is next.
Most of us spend the better part of each weekday at the workplace. So why not make your office environment the kind of setting that helps you function at your personal best by outfitting it with top quality furniture, high-end photocopiers, printers, versatile office supplies, and the latest technology. The friendly and knowledgeable staff at the TDC Business Center are happy to provide you with personalized service to help you create an office space that's the total package. TDC Business Center, providing solutions that work.
Welcome back. Another sports in detail. In basketball, the 18-year-old tipped to be the next big thing in basketball was injured only 33 seconds on Wednesday when his Nike shoe fell apart. Zion Williamson, who is the projected #1 pick in June's NBA draft, has been dubbed the next LeBron James. Former U.S. President Barack Obama was among the crowd at Williamson's Duke University played local rivals North Carolina. Blue Devils forward Williamson, hailed by double NBA champion Kevin Durant as a once-in-a-generation athlete, hurt his left knee after his foot burst through his shoe when he landed while dribbling. The rubber sole ripped loose from the Nike shoe, with the sportswear giant Duke's exclusive supplier of uniforms, shoes, and clothing, saying in a statement, "We are obviously concerned and want to wish Zion a speedy recovery." Zion's injury meant North Carolina won 88-72 in the 46th meeting between the rivals. In local cricket, the 2019 edition of the VPL Cricket League began on Sunday, February 17th at the Hard Times Playfield here in Nevis. The first match of the league featured the Jabas team and the Kings 11. The Jabas team defeated the Kings 11 and the scores were: Jabas got to 103 for 7 and the Kings 11 managed 94 for 6 from their 12 overs. The league continues on Sunday, 24th February. In tennis, former world number 1 Angelique Kerber was beaten 5-7, 6-4, 6-love by unseeded Shea Suwing in the last 16 at the Dubai Championships. World number 1 Sheng, who beat Simona Halep at Wimbledon last year, won 12 out of the last 13 points to oust the reigning SW19 champion in 1 hour 44 minutes. The 33-year-old Taiwanese next faces 4th seed Karolina Pliskova, who beat Alison Ritz 7-6, 7-6. World number 1 Naomi Osaka, the reigning Australian and US Open champion, lost in round 2 to Kristina Mladenovic of France. Breakdancing has been proposed for inclusion in the Paris 2024 Olympic Games, organizers have announced. It is among 4 sports that organizers will propose to the International Olympic Committee (IOC), as well as surfacing, climbing, and skateboarding, which will all debut at Tokyo 2020. Squash campaigned unsuccessfully for inclusion in the Paris Games, as did billiard, sports, and chess. Breakdancing was included in the Youth Olympic Games in Buenos Aires in 2018. The IOC will consider the proposal and must reach a decision by December 2020. Tony Esquengre, a 3-time canoeing Olympic champion and head of the Paris 2024 organizing committee, said the inclusion of the new sports would make the Olympics more urban and more artistic. And finally, in boxing, 2-division UFC champion Georges St. Pierre has announced his retirement. The 37-year-old Canadian returned from a 4-year absence to beat Britain's Michael Bisping for the middleweight title in November 2017. He is one of the only 6 UFC fighters to have held titles in multiple weight classes, having also welterweight champion for 2,204 days. St. Pierre retires holding several UFC records. He tops the UFC list in 3 categories: passes, strikes, and takedowns, and his 13 successes in title bouts is the most of any fighter. He combined reign of 2,237 days as champion, is second only to Anderson Silva's 2,457 days as middleweight champion. St. Pierre first retired following a record 9th consecutive title defense in 2013 and lost only twice to Matt Hughes in 2004 and Matt Serra in 2007, winning his final 13 contests. Asked about his retirement, he added, "There's no tears. I'm very happy to do it. It takes a lot of discipline, though, to retire on top." That's it for sports. The General Weather Report is next. Look over the forecast for St. Kitts and Nevis. Weather tonight will be partly cloudy with a 30% or low chance of overnight showers. Weather tomorrow will generally be sunny with a 20% or slight chance of showers. Winds are east at 22 to 37 kilometers per hour or 12 to 20 knots with higher gusts in showers. Seas are 1.8 to 2.4 meters or 6 to 8 feet. A small craft advisory remains in effect. Sunrise tomorrow will be at 6:34 a.m. And that's how we wrap up the major news package for today, Thursday, 21st February 2019. Before we go, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Nationally, Will there be constituency boundary changes before the next general elections here in St. Kitts and Nevis? And loss of correspondent banking relations, a threat to banks in St. Kitts and Nevis and the ECCU. Regionally, Venezuela's president shuts border with Brazil amid aid standoff. Internationally, action needed against child abuse at church, says Pope Francis. And in sports, 18-year-old basketball player injured as Nike shoe falls apart after 33 seconds. On behalf of the rest of the news team, I am Tasha